Hey, welcome back. So today we're going to get back to work on the Triumph. If you saw the heading, you'll know it's not running again. I love this bike, but I've done a lot to it. I bought this bike about 6 months ago, 8 months ago as a basket case. It had a clear title, frame and motor matched. It was a hardtail conversion. It just needed to be put together and wiring done and so on and so forth. And if you've seen any of the other videos, I got it running really good. And I figured out a lot of the issues, went through all the fluids, I went through everything. Over the last couple weeks, the bike has gotten really hard to start. It just started out of nowhere. I would be kicking it over, and it used to be a one-kick bike, and then it took a couple minutes, and then it took 10 minutes. Now it's not even kicking over at all. When I say not kicking over, it's trying to start. So I'm going to give you a rundown of what I'm dealing with and what I've replaced and what I'm going to work on today to try to get this working. Now, I'm going to post this video no matter what. So if I'm able to fix the problem, I'm going to post it. If I'm not able to fix it, I'm going to keep updating the videos until I do get it fixed. Now, I've already gone through quite a few things, and I'm going to share with you what I've done there. But I've gotten a lot of great responses in the other videos I did with this bike. So if you've been through this and have dealt with issues already and you have some ideas, I'd love to hear from you, because I'm kind of going at this blindly because I've literally gone through a lot of stuff already. So just to give you an idea of what I've done, actually maybe I should do some close-ups. So I'm going to do a walkthrough and show you what I've done so far. In case I didn't mention it in the beginning of the video, this is a 1968 Triumph TR6, which is a 650. When the problem started happening, the first thing I did, in one of my videos, I rebuilt the original carburetor on it, and that was working great. But just to be safe, I went ahead and swapped out another carburetor that I knew was working good. So the first thing I did is I swapped out this carburetor. The issue did not change at all. Then I was talking with a good buddy of mine that works on these as well, and I decided to go through the timing just to make sure the timing didn't jump. So I went ahead and took this off here, made sure it was on top dead center, and went ahead and I actually just printed off a wheel online and made sure that the timing was correct. I checked the coil, I checked for spark, I checked for compression. All of that was great. So what I'm going to be doing today is there are two main items left. The first thing is a friend of mine on Instagram owns Macy's Motorcycles. All he does is Triumphs. I think he's a younger guy, but very knowledgeable. So if you watch his channel, thanks guys for all your help, because you've definitely been helpful. But I'm going to go ahead and take the covers off, and we're going to make sure that these valves are closing properly. I've got a list of things that I'm going to be doing and what to inspect, and I'll go over that with you. What the thickness should be, when it should be closed, when it should be open, so on and so forth. That could definitely be an issue, because if it's not creating proper, even though I have compression, if it's not creating compression when I'm kicking it over, that would definitely cause it not to start. I also took the cover off, and the reason why I did that is the next thing that it could be is the stator. Now, I don't see any burnt wires, but we're going to go ahead and pull this off and see if we've got any worn metal or anything like that. Obviously, you can see this has been gotten into quite a few times, so that certainly could be the issue as well. But before I spend $100 on the stator, and if I'm going to do the stator, you obviously should do the alternator. So before I do that, we're going to make sure that this is right first. So if you bear with me, I've got to take the gas tank off, because someone put these aftermarket caps on, and I have soaked them. I have done everything. I can't get these caps off if my life depended on it. So I'm going to go ahead and take the gas tank off first, and we'll go from there. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to unscrew these. I don't think there's much pressure on this at all, but I'm going to go ahead and unscrew this and put this tool, it's called a spider tool, and put this tool on here to try to loosen these up. I seriously doubt many people have these, and they're getting messed up and everything. I mean, I'm sure they look cool, but I don't like them at all. Let's get to it. So I got all the caps off, and I had to take the coil off on this one side. Next thing I did is I took the spark plugs out, so that way when I'm turning the motor over, the compression of the motor doesn't make it too hard to turn over. And I went ahead and just put the bike up on an old battery, so that way I can move the back tire. And the plan is, you put the bike in 4th gear because it's the easiest gear to move in, and you want these valves to be opening and closing, and I'll go over that with you in detail how that works. But I just watched another instructional video on how to check the gauges properly, how to use the feeler gauges properly and where to place them, and I'll try to get a better close-up to show you, if you've never done this before, exactly where that feeler gauge is supposed to go. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. What we're looking for on the exhaust side is 0.04, and on the intake side we're looking for 0.02. Now, before I even made this video, I went ahead and did some tests just roughly, and I couldn't even get a 2 or a 4 in here, so they're definitely way too tight. I don't know if that's going to be the reason why it's not starting, but it definitely is the reason why I had those plugs were a little burnt up when I pulled them out. So I'm going to go ahead and set the exhaust side first. What you're going to do is I'm going to move this tire. In the videos that I watched, the instructional videos, they said that you want to find that sweet spot when this closes. So I'm moving this tire around, and move the engine, and you'll see that it dropped. And what I'm looking for is that little spot before it comes back up. It has like a small pause to it. And I'm going to feel it with my hand, so hang tight. I think I got it right there. So it's coming up. And there's that pause. There it is. There it is. Right there. Yep. Okay. Now, when you're using the feeler gauge, if you've never done this, and this took me, before I even put this video on, I was practicing a few times myself. It took me a little bit to do it. I even put a little bend on mine. But what you're looking for is, and some of the later models are easier. This is a 68 model, and it's not a lot of room to get that inside of here, and 0.04 is really thin. But this is the rocker arm here. You're going to loosen this nut here, so that way you can use needle nose pliers. I actually have the tool that they recommend you use to move this up and down, as you can see here. But you can use anything if you have it. But you're going to loosen this bolt here, so this little part can move up and down without moving that bolt. Now if that bolt moves, it's okay, because that's just going to raise or lower this. But you really want to try to keep that from moving if the setting is not that far off. If you find that you can't close it enough, then you'll have to loosen that bolt more. So you're going to hold this bolt steady, loosen or tighten this. What I'm going to do is tighten it all the way down and then loosen it so I can get that feeler gauge in there. Now where the feeler gauge is going to go, if you can see here, it's kind of hard to see, but this bowl of the rocker arm, there's a little pressure rod underneath of it that's connected to that rocker arm. And there's a space before it hits that valve. You can see that little copper top? That's the top of the valve. So there's a very tiny space between that rocker arm and the top of that valve, and that's where you need to slide that feeler gauge inside of. It's kind of a pain to do, so if you get it real loose, what I ended up doing is I got it loose and then put the feeler gauge until it slid all the way through, and then I tightened it till it pinched on it, and then I slowly pulled it out, and then I would test it. And after I put the feeler gauge in, I'd put the 0.05 in to make sure that wouldn't go in, so I had the right measurement. So I'm going to do both exhaust sides now, and then I'm going to do the intake side, and the same process is going to apply. You're going to go ahead and drop the exhaust side to raise the intake side. So hopefully that helps you guys understand that. I went ahead and pulled the stator off, and the alternator definitely got some grooves, some deep grooves in here that you can feel. It's pretty oily, but I mean, Obviously nothing I can physically see at this time. There's some old timing marks there. I will have to go through the timing again, but on the inside, I'm not seeing anything major. So I can't say it is or it isn't. I'm going to go ahead and clean it out, clean it up. But like I said, if you guys see anything, you know, those marks, is that excessive wear that I'm looking at, you know, that I need to be considering? So like I said, there were some deep grooves into this. I'm gonna clean it up, put it back on, and we'll see. But I did get went ahead and got everything adjusted here. So I'm not gonna put the caps back on. I'm just gonna throw the tank on, get the battery back in her, and primer, and see if she'll start before we start diagnosing other things. I'm gonna go ahead and throw the gas tank back on, just put a bolt in it, put the spark plugs back on. I'm not gonna put the caps on like I said a second ago. Let's just see if this adjustment works. If not, we'll go from there. I also checked the wires just to make sure everything was good. It is. So, wish me luck. Alright guys, I got the bike back together. I went ahead and checked the timing just to be safe. Went ahead and made sure I was top dead center, and then checked my ignition timing. I've got the static light shown on the tri-spark, so I have a tri-spark like electronic ignition system. All that's working good, so I'm going to kick her over now and see if it was the valves. If it's not, then it's definitely the stator. So wish me luck. I'm hoping it's the valves because I just want to drive this bike. But if not, at least I know this is the last piece. Unless you think it's something else. Alright, battery on. Ignition set. Fuel. A little bit of fuel. And a lot of luck. Give it a lot of throttle just to be safe. I'll go ahead and, just to be safe, I've got a spark plug light I'll throw on it real quick to see, just to make sure that's not it. Works pretty good, it's pretty easy to use. And we're sparking with no problem. We'll do that. So that's not the problem. I'm going to put a couple more kicks into it, but this neat little tool here, we got perfect spark. And my tri-spark is lighting up every time I kick. So Alright guys, it's got to be the Stator. Stator's about $100, and since I'm doing a Stator, I might as well order a new alternator because they're tied in together. But I think that's what it is. That's what it's got to be. However, like I said, I was going to post this video no matter what. If there's anything else I can check or should check before I place this order, let me know. But it's got to be this. I've gone through the carburetor, the valves, the battery. I mean, I've done it all now. It's got to be this. I'll keep you posted no matter what. I'm going to order the Stator. I'm going to order the alternator, and we'll do a part 2 of this video and see if that works. But I would really appreciate any comments or any information that you guys could give me, because I'm at a loss. I've put pretty much everything I think it could be into this without doing that. I will see you guys when my parts come in, hopefully next week. Thanks for watching.